my beautiful friends. So today we are back. I'm going to start getting on a regular filming schedule, I hope again, but I am going to be starting out with a foundation review. There is a new foundation from Kat Von D, or Beauty, I think it's now called, Kat Von D Beauty, and it is the Good Apple foundation. I've been seeing this all over TikTok, and if you guys have TikTok, I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. It intrigued me because everybody said it was so wonderful, but the fact that it was so thick kind of makes me want to try it and see if it's going to be something that works for somebody that's aging like me, who's 43 now, I believe. I'm 43. And I want to see if this is going to look terrible on my skin, because on TikTok they have such limited time to review something, so they basically put it on and then they come back and say it's wonderful, but it looks super cakey. So I want to try it out and see how cakey this actually is, if it actually forms really nice to the face, or if it's something that you want to pass altogether if you don't like cakey foundation. So I've got my color in medium 039. It is supposed to be infused with apple extract to help nurture skin, and then it's all recyclable material, which honestly it takes me a while to go through something, so that's fine. I think it's great that they're doing recyclable materials. It's vegan. It will last 12 months. You are getting 0.35 ounces in here, and this is pretty pricey. Let me see. I can't remember what I paid for it. I think it was like $29 or $39. Let me check real quick. $38 for it. So it's not a cheap foundation at all. This is a very pricey foundation, and it's also all sold out. Yeah, on the Ulta website, so you can't get it there right now. I would try either the Kat Von D website or the maybe Sephora website. They might have it there. So it says KVD Beauty Good Apple Skin Perfection Foundation Balm is a buildable full coverage hydrating foundation balm with a lightweight long wear formula and a fresh matte finish. So if you don't like matte foundations, you're not gonna like this. I've tried other Kat Von D foundations in the past. I think I liked it, but the problem was that I couldn't find the correct color for me. So I'm hoping that this isn't gonna be too dark for me. It might be. We'll see what happens here. It has 17 reviews on the website, and it has 4.25 stars, so it's almost at 5 stars. So a lot of people do like this as far as people buying it on the Ulta website. How to use it: blend and build to desired coverage using beauty sponge or desired foundation brush. So the foundation brush I feel like is going to be way too thick of an application for me, so I'm going to go in with the beauty blender, just because I've actually moved away from a fuller coverage foundation as I've gotten older. I've been using a lot of serums, and I've actually been using a lot of powder foundations, so this one kind of scares me just a little bit because it may be a little over the top. Hopefully not, so we'll see. It says you can also use your fingers to apply it, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I'm not a big fan of using your fingers to apply foundation. It says for oily areas, set foundation with Lock-It setting powder. So let's go ahead and start with this product. What I'm going to do is spray my face real quick with a Smashbox, and then I'm going to go ahead and do some primer. My face has been washed and has been moisturized and everything like that. I'm just going to use the overnighter primer. This isn't the best primer for my face. I actually bought it a while ago, and I'm using it up because I've had it and I didn't send it back because I didn't really like it, but it's not something that will take away the oils on my face. My face is super oily. If you've been watching my foundation reviews for a while, you know that. So things that may work best for other people are not going to work that great for me. All right, so the packaging is okay. For me, the packaging is just really average, and it's not anything that I'm like, everybody on TikTok is like, oh, the packaging is so beautiful. It's plastic. So you're, like I said, you're paying a lot of money for a plastic packaging. You're basically paying for the foundation and the fact that they're saying that it's like a new age thing. All right, it's definitely a creamy foundation. Doesn't have a smell to it, and I'm gonna go straight in with my beauty blender. So I'm just gonna take my damp beauty blender here, and we're gonna go ahead and just kind of dab it here. Not trying to get too much because I don't want to be over cakey. And let's go ahead and go on one side first and see what happens here. So we'll go down the middle here. Okay, so it does, ooh, that does look a little cakey. Go ahead and move my hair. My hair has gotten so long. I haven't cut my hair in like 2 years. I've just been like semi-trimming it by myself since I got that last haircut. Maybe it was like 3 years ago. So it's been a very long time since I cut my hair, and I'm seriously debating going back to shoulder length and cutting off. It's got to be at least maybe a foot or two off my hair. So we'll see what happens. But I've been I get to the point sometimes with my hair that I'm just like, I'm over it. So I'm kind of wanting to just cut it all off and see what happens. And then my hair is so gray. It's been getting so gray lately, which is, I mean, I'm like 43, so that's normal. But I'm also thinking about just not dyeing it anymore and maybe going in and getting some gray highlights and then just kind of letting it grow out and not having all the chemicals in there except for the one time that I get the gray highlights. So we'll see how that works on that. All right, so there's the one side here with this foundation with the Beauty Blender. I think it blended in pretty nicely. Let me take my mirror so I can see. It did blend in nicely with the wet Beauty Blender. I think the brush would be way too much for my face. I think it might settle a little bit. There are some areas where I feel like it's kind of patchy, and I don't know if that's because of the wet Beauty Blender. It's definitely, I think it could be a definite full coverage foundation, but I'm just gonna go over it lightly because I don't need such a full coverage anymore. I just wanna cover up some of the redness, what you can see right here on this side. But this side looks a little bit more matchy to my neck, I think. So, I don't know. I can't tell if I'm gonna like this yet or not. So let me go ahead and do this so you can see the coverage without it and then the coverage with it there. I think it looks okay. I mean, I'm not complaining yet. The real challenge is to see how it's gonna last on my face throughout the day because I'm pretty oily, so that's going to be a challenge for this foundation, especially because I'm not normally into cream foundations like this. I usually use a liquid foundation or a powder foundation. These cream ones tend to like build up on my face a little bit, so I'm just going to go ahead and pounce it in there again, not trying to get too much, and then we'll do the other side real quick. All right, so that is the full face with it on, just the foundation. Let me take a good look at it and see where it sits on my face. Again, I'm not so used to these creamy foundations. I didn't have to use very much of it. It doesn't even look like I, got into there. It just looks a little like I touched it with something, so that's good. So 0.39 ounces I think will last you a while if you don't over cake it on like you see on TikTok. I think going in with a brush like they've been doing on TikTok, it's just way too much for anybody's skin. That's way too full coverage, and nobody really needs to look like they're wearing a mask unless that's something that you really want to do, but I just think it's too much. So where we're sitting now, I think it's okay. I'm not like 100% impressed with it. I think it's just an okay foundation for my face. Like I said, I've been using some other kind of foundations lately, and so I'm not used to these more full coverage type ones. So I'm gonna be interested to see how it like sets on my face throughout the day and what it's gonna do with the oils on my face. I can't feel it on my face, which is really nice. It doesn't feel like cakey. I feel like I can probably build it up in certain areas to make it more full coverage as far as like the little redness pieces I have. But I'm okay with that redness kind of coming through because it does make my face look a little bit more not foundation covered, if that makes sense. So that makes me a little bit more happy. It just feels more comfortable that way. And then again, with everybody having to wear masks and stuff nowadays, it makes it a lot harder because every mask on the inside has white cloth, and so if you're like me, you have to wash your mask like every other day because they look disgusting. So that's another thing that's kind of annoying, that you have foundation that rubs off on these masks, and I've yet to find a good foundation or a primer or anything that's going to hold that foundation in my mask. It's just not going to happen. So far I like it. I don't dislike it. It's definitely covering up all my redness that I would want it to cover. It looks face-like. It doesn't look over the top and like mask-like, which is really nice. It doesn't feel like anything on my skin. Sometimes you can put a foundation on and it can just feel over the top and you have foundation. I don't feel this on my skin at all, so I'm very impressed by that. I was a little worried that it was going to be over the top thick yuckiness on my face, and I don't feel that at all. So that's something that I'm excited about. It's sitting actually really nicely in my pores. Again, something I'm really excited about. So let me get close so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see if it's gonna focus. So there it goes. I mean, you can still see some redness here. I didn't do the full coverage because that's just not something that I like to do on my face anymore as I've gotten older, because it can just make me look like wrinkly. It doesn't seem like it's settling too bad in the creases that I have here on my forehead. I mean, I'm sure it could if I go over the top, but on my nose pores, it seems to be doing really, really well. So that's a plus for right now. It could look a little dry, and I think I have some like dry spots where I blow my nose. It's allergy season for me right now, so you know, I'm starting to sneeze a lot because it's summer's coming and spring and stuff like that. So I'll definitely have issues with like skin around my nose that's coming off from like blowing my nose all day. But so far I think it's a nice coverage, for a nice light coverage. If you want to go full coverage, I think you can definitely do it with this, but I don't think I need to at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of my makeup on, come back and show you what it looks like with makeup on top of it, let you know what I used, and let you know if it reacted weird or funny with anything that I'm trying to put on top of it. Again, it doesn't feel tacky, it feels matte. It definitely feels matte, which I enjoy because I do have the oily skin. It is 12, can you see the time? Yeah, there we go. 12:20, what is it? 12:32. In the afternoon. So that's when we're gonna call it. All right, I will be right back so you can see what it looks like with everything else on. Okay, I'm back. And this is what the full face of makeup looks like. Actually, it did really well. I didn't have any problem with it moving around. It's very matte on your face. So once it's there, it's there. And I noticed when I was putting it on, you want to work a little bit fast because it will start setting pretty quickly, and it did. It set and it was just there. I didn't have any moving around when I took my brushes and put on any contours or anything like that. So it was very nice. I did not try any cream contours or any cream blushes or anything like that on top of it. So I'm not sure how that will work on top of this, but as far as like powders went on, it went on very smoothly. Very impressed by it. So far so good. I do see a little bit of creasing here on my nose, but I did tell you my nose is a little dry from blowing it and constantly having to sneeze and all that because of seasonal allergies, which is going on right now. So I think that with anybody that has dry skin, this may be something that you want to do like a spray first, and then, you know, use a lot of nice moisturizers and then spray it again with like the MAC Fix Plus because it has that dewier finish for you. But so far so good. I'm not disliking it, and I honestly thought I was not going to be that impressed with it. So
it's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. So so far so good. I thought I was gonna absolutely hate it, and so far I don't. So now we're just gonna see how it's going to last throughout the day, just to make sure it's not gonna fade or do any funky things on my face, because I do have an oily T-zone and my face gets very oily throughout the day. Also, it's very expensive. So if you're gonna pay $36, $39, I can't remember how much I paid, I want it to last on my face. You're not getting very much product in here, so even though you're not having to use very much, you're not getting very much product. So I want it to last on my oily skin throughout the day and kind of look this way all day long. I did light powder on my face. Basically, I just went through and contoured, and then I took like the tiniest bit on my beauty blender and just kind of patted it in there. So there's not a lot of powder on my face at all. And so that's where we're at right now. We started with the foundation at 12:30-ish, I believe. So I'll come back in a few hours and show you what it looks like, if it's changed or did anything weird. Oh, I did want to see with a paper towel here, or with a napkin, and see if I pat, if anything comes off. No. Nothing's coming off. So right now my face is not oily at all, so nothing has come off yet. So we'll just keep it on for as long as we can and see if this is something you may want to buy. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Hi, hello my friends. All right, it has been 4 hours since I put this foundation on from Kat Von D. Let me show you the time. It is 4:36 or 4:39, something like that. Looking at this foundation, I have noticed that it's one of those ones that I love when I first put it on because it looks really smooth, but as the day goes on, it definitely does some funky things on my face. Now I've got 43-year-old skin, so I do have a really good skin regimen, so my face isn't like all wrinkly or anything like that, but I do have a lot of like dry spots, even though my face is oily. So on my nose it looks a little dry. Here in my forehead it looks a little dry, and then just in some spots on my face it looks a little dry. And I thought it was gonna do that because my face, I know what it does, and it does that weird kind of like dryness but oily look to it. And this foundation definitely has done that on my face in 4 hours, which was to be expected because of the creamy type of foundation it is. So let me go ahead and get close so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see I'm definitely oily, but there's a little bit of foundation there in the creases of my wrinkles there. See how it's kind of separating on my skin there? Definitely oily. And then It definitely creases in my nose area, and then in my chin. That's some stuff that I'm not too excited about. So because of that, it's not my favorite right now. It doesn't look bad, like at a distance. I got really close to my husband, so I was just like, tell me when you can see the foundation. And he was literally like super close. So it wouldn't be something that would make me uncomfortable at this point to be at work and working with customers and talking, you know, at a safe distance from people. But if they were super close, which they shouldn't be super close, but if they were super close, it would definitely make me self-conscious. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take this clean tissue and just kind of pat and see if any of it comes off with my oils. And it does come off a little bit, but not anything that's terrible. And it doesn't look, I don't think it looks any different on my face at this point. What have I been doing in the last 4 hours? I had breakfast. I went out and worked on the yard for a little bit, and now I'm inside. So it's doing good for the stuff that I've been doing. I've been sweating a little bit and, you know, doing some not normal stuff. So as far as the way it looks on my face and is sitting on my face after like working out-ish, because I've been working in the yard, I think it looks okay. When you get close, it just looks kind of funky. So I'm gonna go another 4 hours, so that would be 8 hours, and then we'll see what it looks like at an 8-hour like work day. So I'll be back in a little bit to give you my final thoughts on this foundation and whether or not I think that you should purchase it or try it out, and if it's gonna work for you or not. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. All right, so it is now 6:30 in the evening. Let's see if that's going to 6:30 in the evening. There we go. And I have had this foundation on for 6 hours now. So it is now starting to break up on my face. So I decided to go ahead and end this foundation review for you so you can see where it's at 6 hours. Now, you know, I have oily skin. It's not over oily today. It doesn't look bad at all, to be quite honest, but when I look in the mirror, it is definitely starting to break up around my chin area and certain spots. It doesn't look bad when you're just looking at me face on and kind of far away, but once you get closer to me, you will see where it's starting to break up. So let me get close so you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. So it's breaking up here. And then in the nose area. And in the cheeks area there. And then on the forehead. It's starting to break up a little bit too. So with that being said, I don't know that I would tell people this is going to be the best foundation for people with oily skin or aging skin or drying skin, just because it's already starting to break up. It didn't even last a full 8 hours on my skin before I can see the difference of this morning to now. There is definitely going to be some kind of transfer there, and I can see that. If I went ahead and took the blender and just kind of blended it back into my skin, it still kind of looks like it did a minute ago, where it's just kind of breaking up. So I would say that this would be a pass for me, just due to the price and the amount of foundation you're getting and what it does in 6 hours on my oily skin and aging skin. But for somebody with maybe normal skin and that likes a fuller foundation, if you went fuller with it, it may be something that you might like. For me, I would go as full as I went. I wouldn't go any more than that, because then it would start to look cakey on my skin. But I just don't wear like a full coverage foundation like I used to. I still love the full coverage matte foundation from Fenty. That foundation works very well on my skin type, and it doesn't do this weird melty type thing on my face. It stays on my face all day. So the Fenty matte foundation, this one I love. This is a very nice matte foundation, but this isn't a cream foundation like this one. Will I continue to use this and try it out and see if I can get it to stay on my face with maybe different primers and stuff? I will. But with the primer that I use today, which is going to be the one from Urban Decay, the All Nighter face primer, it's not the best look for me. And at this point, at 6.5 hours. It's not even a full work day for me, and I wouldn't feel comfortable having a conversation with somebody because you can see how it's starting to separate and just kind of dissolve on my face. So I hope this review helps you out a little bit if you're gonna try to purchase this, or maybe go into Sephora and get a sample. I don't know if you're able to do that now with COVID, but if you can get a sample of this, I would do that first, try it out for a while, and maybe, you know, try it with some different primers and see if it works better than it did on my face. I did like the coverage at the beginning. It actually worked really well with other makeups. It's just starting to break up in different areas of my face where I get super oily, and it's not something that I would recommend for anybody that has oily skin. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know if you have any questions about this, and I will see you on my next review.